Selling a surfboard isn't just about getting cash in hand. It's about preparation, it's about timing, and it's about avoiding the mistakes of selling a board that you'll later regret. And one of the big lessons is selling a surfboard is not as simple as just putting it on marketplace. There's a lot you can get right, but there are certainly plenty of mistakes you can make. So in this video, I'm going to share with you when is the right time to sell your board, how to prepare it for sale, and how to list it for sale without making any mistakes that you'll regret later on. So, should you sell your surfboard or not? Let's find out. I once had a red 710 Bonza I bought from Hawaii, secondhand from the Campbell brothers. And after a few years of riding it, I thought I needed something else, and so I sold it. But I regret selling that. It was a very hard board to replace. I actually had it remade, but it was never the same. So before you go selling your board, just think about if your board is super precious or rare, maybe like this Wayne Lynch, and it's very hard to replace, then perhaps don't sell it because you will be more likely to have regret if you can't replace it. Now, if your board happens to be a really easy board to replace, like this Volcanic Seaside, which you can buy in just about any surf shop, you can buy them on Marketplace, secondhand, you can order them online and they'll be shipped to your house. Very easy to replace. So you've satisfied the first rule. Will this board be hard to replace? A board like this, the answer is no, not hard to replace, nothing custom about it. So that's the first rule to satisfy. But I do ask myself a couple of other questions before I sell a surfboard. Another question I ask myself is there a board that I would always rather surf in these conditions than the board that I'm considering selling? So let's have a look at this board. Here is a quad, and this board is a quad. If I feel like surfing a quad that's an eggy shape, I'm always going to want to surf this board because it is just so much better. And you can see about that in my quad video. So this board starts to not get used, and I just like that one. So I could quite safely sell this board and never worry about it because I'm always going to surf that board. So that's the second filter. First filter is, can I replace this board? Second filter is there a board that I'm always going to surf instead of this board? The next filter I have is, does the board have a flaw that I cannot overcome? So what's an example of a flaw? It could be that, for example, on this board, the fins are very far forward. It really suits a performance surfer, and I prefer to surf a board that is a little cruisier. Also, maybe the board is just too small. It's under volume, or it's too finicky under your feet and it's not enjoyable, or it's really hard to paddle. So sometimes you look at a board and you just think, I just don't want to ride this board for whatever reason. Maybe it doesn't work the way that you thought it would work. Maybe you just cannot get it to feel good. You've never had a good surf on it. There was one board I had, I won't say which one, but I surfed it at least 20 times and I could never get it to go fast, do good turns, paddle well. It was just a dog. It was perhaps the worst surfboard that I've ever surfed. And I know people say, oh, you know, any surfboard's good under your feet. To some extent, but there are really good surfboards and there are really bad surfboards, and that was a bad one and it had to go immediately. There was one board I developed with a shaper, and the quality of the foam was so poor that the foam cracked. Just one trip to the Maldives and I actually wore through the fiberglass on top and the foam was all bubbling. And when I took it to him to repair it, he was so ashamed of the board that he actually sanded off his logo. And so that is the reason why I won't believe in the board. If the shaper himself is absolutely ashamed of the board, then why would I support that and encourage it? And so that went out of principle. The next category I look at is, have I had my fun on the board? Has it served its purpose? A board like this. This board is not easy to replace. It could be replaced. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's a good size, it surfs really well, it's beautifully crafted, but I've had my fun on this board. There will always be another board that I would probably rather take, usually just a little bit bigger. So it's probably time to go for this board. And I've also got a board just like this. The Smith fish that I have in the Philippines, I have had so many surfs on it. The deck is starting to get a little bit like the moon surface, and I would happily sell that board. And some people believe that PU boards especially, they have a certain life where they start to feel a little tired or worn. And I feel like I'm gonna take a new board over there and then I'm gonna sell that fish. I'm gonna put it back into the market. And you feel good about putting the boards back into the market. I don't wanna be a board hoarder. I want the boards to go back into the market for someone else to have a turn. And that's why I'm listing a whole bunch of boards for sale. I wanna get my quiver down to the perfect boards that fit this filter. Is it a rare board, hard to replace? Is it the board that I really want to surf all the time? Is it a perfect board in almost every way? They're the ones I'm keeping, but the rest will have to go. Here's another test. If I saw this board on Marketplace for sale, would I buy it? So let's say I saw this board here. This is a Campbell Design Wingman. It's a twin in epoxy EPS. This beautiful Exoflex. If I saw this board on Marketplace in my size, which is 6'6", I would absolutely buy it. I love this board. There is no way I would sell this board because it is a perfect board. So it goes back in the rack and we keep it. But if I saw this board on Marketplace, you might remember this is my cheap board, the video that had over 50,000 views. I probably wouldn't buy it because I've already experienced it. I know what it's like. It's a great board. I've had my fun on it. There are 5 other boards that I could probably surf in the same conditions. So it borders on time to sell versus absolutely must keep. Now, of course, I've got buying criteria for when I buy a board, and some of the criteria are, is it a bargain? It doesn't have to satisfy that, but it's great if it does. Is it a bargain? Is it very rare and hard to get again if I can't get it now? Or can I get it at any time? If I buy the board, which board will I replace? That's the criteria. And so, for example, I just got this new board. It's a Twinser from Sermon, and it's 6'6", and most of my boards are 6'6". So you can bet that this is part of the reason I'm selling boards. You know why? Because I've got a storage problem. I've run out of space. I've got 2 boards per rack. There's physically nowhere else to put a new board. So now I'll need to sell a board to put a new board on there. So if I want to buy a new board, then that will speed up the sales process. Something has to go. But it's okay because I'm getting something fresh, something interesting to test for you, and a bit of fun for me. And also, one of these boards is going to go back into the marketplace and someone else is going to get some great experiences on it, and I feel good about that for them. It's usually at this point, someone comments below the video, oh, it'd be nice to have all those boards. Yeah, well, lucky I'm not collecting aircraft or exotic sports cars. Relatively speaking, it's not the world's worst hobby to have. So let's say you've chosen a board to sell. The next thing is to look at how to prepare the board to sell. There's a bit of an argument whether you should take the wax off or not, but certainly a board like this, for example, it's been on a Maldives trip and it's sat on those foam racks, which have left a little black scuff. A buyer might look at that and think that it's damaged, but it's not. So if the board has been used a lot, and you see these on Marketplace, you probably should leave the wax on. If it hasn't been used a lot, you might take the wax off and show the board in its pure goodness, but it is a little bit of effort and there's a technique to that. There are now wax scrapers that are easier to do it than the old way to do it, but generally a little bit of sunlight and peeling it off in small stretches into a ball will get you there, and then you use a pickle. I'll show you. This is a modern wax scraper. You just rub it like that. This is a pickle. You can buy these at any surf shop. So take the wax off, just put it out in some sunlight, not too hot, and just glide the wax off and collect it in a bowl. And then you rub this, the board's gonna come up like new, and then you take really good pictures. Pictures of the top, the bottom, the nose, the tail, the dimensions. If you've ever looked at ads on Marketplace, often there's such a blurry, shitty picture, you know that it's not going to get a premium price because it hasn't had any effort put into the pictures. Pictures are very important, and you get the ability to put a lot of pictures in a Marketplace ad. So use all the pictures. Next up, we need to talk about damage. If your board is damaged, it's going to be a little bit interesting to sell. Now, if it's damaged and it's not watertight and it can't be surfed, you probably should look at repairing it. Otherwise, you're going to be listing it so cheap because someone's going to have to buy it and then repair it and then surf it. So if you ever see those bargain boards and then it's got this like horrific buckle or gash out of the rail or something that's not surfable, it's very unappealing for a buyer. If you do have damage, take for example this board here. I've chipped the tail on this board and repaired it myself. Just a simple little repair. So it is watertight. You could say small repair, watertight, and you would take a picture of it. And it's really not that off-putting, very minor little damage. If it was a bigger job, and I do have a board in the repair shop right now, the rail got smashed on a rock, it's getting professionally repaired. And I would still take a picture of it and I would say professionally repaired. In the sales world, this is called a damaging admission. If you show people the flaws or what's wrong with the board, they're more likely to trust you. It's also good practice as a seller, and it helps your buyers feel more comfortable that what they're buying is exactly what you said they're buying. There is no point tricking people. Even with my pictures, I put this picture is a recent picture. Some people show a picture of when they bought the board and then surfed it 50 times after that, and they're selling it, but you're going off a picture. It's kind of like a dating app perhaps. So take current real pictures and be honest about any flaws, and you will find that the board will sell easier. Sometimes when you're selling a board like a single fin, you will have to put the option of a fin. A lot of people don't have fins, I've found out. So they'll say, oh, I love the board, but I don't have fins. Like a single fin, you could list a fin saying fin can be supplied extra $80 or $100. It's a good opportunity for you to clean out your fin inventory as well. And maybe you can get an upgrade. Sometimes you won't need the fin because it only worked on the board you're selling. Also, if you're selling beginner boards, things like leg ropes are also a barrier for purchase. For some people, they're like, I've got nothing. I have no fins, I got no leg rope, I don't have a board bag, I've got no wax. Board bags, I think, are super highly optional. So sometimes when I have a board, I will say you can have a board bag for an extra $80, fin for $100, I'll include a leg rope. So just think about who's buying your board and what will they have. Now, a lot of the boards that I sell, the more advanced twin fins, pretty much everyone buying these has got twin fins and a leg rope and wax, and they don't ask about board bags. So that's a different market. But if you're going for the beginner market, just think about accessories that are going to help boost your ad. I always go through my leg ropes and I look for the one that I could probably live with the least, maybe this one. It's Yum Yum Yellow. This will probably get included in a board because I'm probably unlikely to use this leg rope. So what about pricing? It's always good to have a look at a few factors. I'm looking at a few things. One, how much did I pay for the board? That's a guide. Second, how much does the board cost to replace? Often when I'm selling a board 3 or 4 years later, they've gone up a lot. Sometimes I pay $1,100 for a board and they're now selling for $1,500. So I'm going to work off the replacement cost. And then the third factor is how much are people selling this for? Go and have a look on Marketplace and look up the same model. See if you can find something similar and use that as a benchmark or comparison. That will give you a rough idea where the market is at in terms of price. I generally list a board at a fairly medium price level. I don't sell it super low. I don't put some ridiculous price that I'll never sell it for. I want it to move fairly quickly, and I don't want to spend a lot of time and energy fielding potential buyers or just missing out because it's too much. And also what I do is I try and time the ad to start on a Friday or on a Saturday. I want to work with the buying market, and most people I've experienced are buying these surfboards in recreation time, which is after work or on a weekend. So if you list it on a Saturday, you're going to maximize the people who see that fresh listing. If I don't sell it by Sunday or the following week, I start bringing the price down, and on Facebook that actually shows the original price with a strike through and then a lower price. Then what I'll do is I'll keep lowering the price gradually until I get the buyers and they come in. And of course, you've got your listing. Put details in the listing. For example, for the title of it, put the model number, the brand, and the size of the board. If it's 6.6, put 6.6. If it's 7.2, put 7.2 in the title. so that you get straight to the person's eyeballs without them even having to scroll. Put the best pictures, the best title, and then put a description. Sometimes I tell a little story about the board. People who are buying the board are probably going to want to know, why are you selling the board? What condition is the board in? A lot of my boards I've probably ridden very few times compared to a lot of people selling boards, so that's a selling advantage for me. This board's been ridden 6 times or 12 times. And the reason that I'm selling it is I need to create space on my rack for a new model because I'm doing a review of the board. That is a legitimate, true reason why I'm selling, and it's very reassuring for the buyer. They are getting a near new board for the price way less than what it would cost them to go and buy a brand new one. So put a story, make it emotional if possible. Describe what the best waves it can catch or what's unique or special about this board. I'll put, this board is very fast, or this board turns on a dime. This board can be ridden by anybody, or this board is for advanced or intermediate riders. Be clear on who this board is for, why this board is such a great board, why you're selling it, and if you want, I usually list the replacement cost. If this board's selling for $1,500 and I'm asking $780, then that shows this huge saving from what the new price would be. Now, one thing you're going to have to deal with that is a bit inconvenient is buyers. You could skip that step if you want. Some shops will take your board on consignment, and I used to do that from time to time. Just leave it with the shop. They would sell it and then just credit me to the store account or give me some cash back. But you will not get the retail premium if you do that. You're getting a wholesale price. So if you do want that retail premium, you're going to have to deal with buyers. That can be difficult, but I will say I've been pretty lucky with buyers because my description is clear, the photographs are accurate. A vast majority of people who come to look at the board will buy the board unless they're an obnoxious oxygen thief. So when you list your ad, you're going to get people start to ping you. Of course, you get the usual scammers wanting to, they can't make it, their cousin can come, can it be shipped to Canberra or wherever? And of course, they're obvious scams. Just don't even respond to those people. Look up their profile. I always look up someone's profile. I see if they look legit. Are they in the local area? Have they been making posts? Or do they live in Kazakhstan and they haven't posted since 3 years ago? Then clearly there's something wrong with that. So watch out for scams. When people come to look at my boards, there is no way in the world they're coming into this garage. I put the one board that I'm selling out in the front yard, and they can look at that board and only that board. Never show people anything other than what you're selling, because you need the focus to be on that, and you also have to have the security risk. I also don't give out my address to anyone unless they send me their mobile number, and I text it to them just before we meet. You could also meet somewhere other than your house, which I do from time to time, and that will really mitigate the risk of any other issues. Of course, it's obvious, but make sure you get paid before they take the board. If they're going to get a surf cargo, come and pick it up, get paid first. If they're at your house, get paid on the spot. And I've had people say, oh man, I'm $50 short. And I'm like, well, that's fine, I'll just wait here. And then they have to drive off and get it. I'm not falling for that old trick. They want you to say, oh, don't worry about it. But I've had actually a couple of old boys try this trick on me. I know it's a thing, don't fall for that. You get your asking price and that's that. You don't have to negotiate if you don't want. They might say, would you take such and such? You can actually say, no, I'm fine, thanks. I'll just wait until the buyer comes. And so that's a very simple deflection. You don't have to get caught up in bargaining or whatever. It's your board. Once it's gone, you can't sell it again, so you might as well wait for the price you want. Unless, of course, you really need the cash to put food on the table today. And if that's the case, by all means, negotiate all you want. I actually keep a spreadsheet of buyers and I list who bought the board and for how much. That helps me price the next board because I can look through my historical data. But there's another thing too. There's a very good chance that people who buy your boards are about your size or your level, and they might also buy the next board. So you can go back through your database and you can let them know there's another board for sale. And that would be a good idea if you go through a lot of boards, someone like me. Some of my most exotic boards I've sold during peak holiday periods. I live in a seasonal town, Noosa. So there are festivals, there's big Easter, big Christmas. I wait until people come from other states and they're holidaying, and then I list the board, and often they'll buy it because they're on holiday, they're relaxed. Hey, I can buy this board, I can take it home on the plane, and I've done that many times. So work with seasonal highs and lows. much harder to sell a board during the middle of winter than during the middle of summer, in this region at least, because people are happy and excited and carefree. And then in winter, of course, it's cold and depressing and raining and stuff. So pick your perfect moments. If you can wait till the next season, do that. You can also keep an eye on the stock situation. When surfboard shops are stocked out of the gills and they're doing big discounts, that's not a good time to sell. But if they have no stock and the orders are on back order and people are starving to try and get a hold of it and you've got one, it's much easier to get a proper price for it. So just to wrap this up, when you're thinking about if you should sell your board, just remember, if it's easy to replace, if there's a board you'd rather surf instead of this one, if there's some fatal flaw about it or you just don't love it, maybe it's time to move it on. Or if you need the cash, great. If you are going to sell it, put some effort into making it look nice, take good pictures, a good description, and price it fairly. And when you are dealing with buyers, think about what they'll need in addition to the board if they're a beginner or just starting out, or it's that kind of board like a foamy. Things like leg ropes really help. Hope some of these tips have been useful. I'm wondering if you've ever sold a board that you regretted. For me, it was that 710 red Bonza from Hawaii. But 1 out of 100 is probably not a bad ratio of boards I regret. And I certainly took the money from that and put it back into the next board. My goal now is to reduce down my quiver to only the very, very best boards, to let the others go back into the marketplace, for other people to get a smile on their face, catch some great waves with this stuff. And over time, I'm going to slim down this quiver and I'll go deeper into each of the boards. If there's a board in my rack that you want me to explain in more detail, let me know below.